on all of the VeeFriends channels, mainly on Twitch here today, and over on TikTok. Hi, TikTok. Actually, I'm going to switch up my screen here. We're going to look through today's show as the comic show format. So we're going to review the week's comics. I'm going to give you some behind the scenes on some of the strips, and then I'll start working on the next comics that we have here. Let me pull up my. I always forget the TikTok chat. My bad. We'll get you TikTok. 1 second. Thanks for watching. Hey, Justin, Green Dog over on Twitter. Not So Savvy over on Twitch. What's going on? All right, my TikTok feed is up. I see people popping in and out. Make sure you say hello in the chat. I'll be checking that out occasionally. Move these chats over, and then we're going to get into it. Get into the show. All right, cool. So first thing we do in this version of the stream is I'm going to review the week's comics. We'll start out with Saturday. So last Saturday was our love story comic. Uh-oh, where'd my feed go? Am I good? All right, yeah, there it is. Sweet. I don't know why it's... Aha. Gotta go to vertical feed. There we go. All right, sweet. Over on TikTok, it doesn't really matter. You just get one shot. You get the hand shot. Yeah, these comics come out daily. Justin asked, are these comics out? These comics come out daily. This is a daily comic strip that I make for VeeFriends. Gary Vaynerchuk made VeeFriends. If you're not familiar with it, check out VeeFriends.com, but there's over 280 characters. I'll be talking a lot about that. This was last Saturday's strip, and it was, we're trying to do some more community day. Is my head in the way on the stream? No, I'm down there, whatever. You can see my little face. We are doing these like community strips where we're trying to like reach out and ask you for your love stories or a time that you were like kind or someone did kindness to you. So we'll be doing these. I'm going to do a time-lapse replay here. Time-lapse replay. Come on. Right. So every comic starts like this. Some people like to watch the replays. I could kind of scan back and forth. And in this one, we picked Ant or AI for over on Twitter. He gave us a nice little love story. We didn't get a whole lot of love stories, and I think people were kind of like not feeling the not feeling the love, I guess, maybe. But let's put on this pencil topper now that I'm talking about it. It's a big heart. Be the bigger person is the name of this character. I always forget to pick my pencil topper for the day. So yeah, this is kind of what I kind of tried to draw him based on a picture that he had posted. I think I did a decent enough job, you know, always hard on myself, but it was just a nice little story about how he met his wife and at a Christmas party, and they held hands and then he never let go. So it was very romantic, and I liked that. So I picked that one, and then I had fun drawing this sushi here too. This was a fun one to draw. Justin asked, where can you find these comics on the interwebs, intertubes? Anywhere at VeeFriends. So we post them on Instagram. We post them on Twitter. Any at VeeFriends. Here on TikTok. Not so much on YouTube, just the streams and such. But they'll also be available soon on VeeFriends.com. We're building out an archive there for these comics. So yeah, I had fun drawing the sushi. There, which part's it on here? I'm just gonna scrub this a little bit so you can kind of see it all come together. Inks. It's really funny because the community is like, wow, I didn't imagine how much work actually goes into these comics. And it's quite a bit, but it's a it's a job, but it's worth it, I think, to do. There's the sushi ended up like that, so that's fun. Very fun. Yeah. So I won't show the process on all of them, but I thought that was a nice one to show. Let me get a drink of coffee here. Then the Sunday comic, which featured the empathy elephant. And I just had this idea that, like, maybe the rest of the world was kind of black and white. Like, nothing against regular elephants, but originally I had it. I'll get through. I'll actually take a step back here a second, start again. The idea was that it was black and white, and he's a very vivid, colorful character. And it's basically the secret origin of the empathetic elephant. And I started out with Mojo Mouse here, asking him, how did you become so empathetic? And he's got his popcorn ready. And then I like to just switch it up so he's got that popcorn bucket. Also, I thought this might be a good, something that we could clip out when there's some juicy stuff going on the internet. You could pull open this graphic and use it online. So, all right, cool. Hey, Steve, thanks for joining over on TikTok and watching. Steve pointed out there's also a separate Discord for these comics over on the VeeFriends Discord, so join that. They're posting it in there every day. So yeah, this is kind of the secret origin of Empathy Elephant. Cat's hiding in the weeds there. And he's just slowly kind of coming back to life, like coming into color. And originally with this panel, to like a little behind the scenes here, was I had it wasn't negative, but it was like talking about that empathy elephant grew up around apathy elephants. And so it was pointed out to me that people love elephants, and elephants by nature are pretty kind and nice, and communal bonds with each other. So I didn't want to like draw them all negative and like dopey. So I just changed it up here, and I think it still worked for the joke. But Gary said this was kind of new to some people. I think it's maybe the first time that we've seen this happen, or this first time I've seen it, was that Gary mentioned in a brainstorming meeting that empathy elephants kind of nose and ears kind of activate when he's around feelings, like like someone's having some hidden feelings or something like that, and he can sense it through empathy. And so here we have the transition into color when the magic activates, like when he discovers himself. And of course, it's like just a real simple concept here. I didn't want to get too deep. It's a sad elephant dropped his ice cream cone, and here we have empathy elephant like offering him more ice cream. There's always room for more ice cream. One of my favorite panels of the week was this one, because it was like, basically, sometimes you fail at this, you fail at empathy. Like, you might think someone's having feelings, but they might just be having a resting alligator face. Because I happen to have a resting sad face or a resting angry face. I don't understand. Some people were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's just my face. It's just my face. Like, if I don't have any smile on it, I look like sad, or I'm in deep thought or something like that." Yeah, Raphael, on TikTok, you can't see my face. On the other channels, you can. I just have the one camera here on TikTok. I'll flip it around at the end, though. You can see me, my beautiful face. Most important thing is we watch these comics. Yeah, so I love the resting alligator face kind of joke. It just kind of popped up when I was drawing it. It wasn't initially planned, and it just kind of came out. And now you kind of get upset when people think that you look upset. So it kind of backfired on Empathy Elephant. And then I kind of thought, like, well, how we're doing this thing with the characters where we're like, the best of Empathy Elephant, they're always empowering others, but what at their worst, what are they? So like, they forget to think about their own feelings. Empathy Elephant here, and he forgot to eat healthy. He's been eating ice cream this whole entire strip. So the idea here is that, at the end, his friends are like, that's why he surrounds himself with friends like you. And he asks them if they want ice cream, and of course, but the alpha alligator here has made salads for them, so eating a little healthier. Also kind of echoing a little bit, maybe my private life. We've been eating a lot healthier this week. Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks for joining. Terminal Chill on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Raphael on LinkedIn. We're live on all the channels, on all the VeeFriends channels today. Sometimes we'll be live just on TikTok. Miller Collectibles on TikTok said they love ice cream. I also love ice cream. I have not had, well, that's not true. We did have ice cream last week on a whim, last weekend. Okay, next strip, because I'm kind of going through them. So we got into this strip. This strip really did really well on the socials. Like, it just really popped off. I brought back Bare Minimum Bob. You can see and read it here if you'd like, but I'm not gonna read these out loud. But the idea here is that he's got a business idea. First time we've had Ambitious Angel in the strip, I'm kind of seeing her as like maybe she's an angel investor of some kind, or just helping people feel ambitious. So we go from there to Bob doesn't want to tell her the idea, which is pretty typical when you're dealing with people that say that they have ideas and then they don't want to tell you the ideas because they think someone will steal them, right? She's like, good news, you don't need money. And he's like, what do you mean? And here it's her basically saying all the work that goes into, you know, testing and finding the real job to be done, all business strategy type stuff. And then Bob just kind of like runs away, like, it's too much. It's too much work. I thought being an entrepreneur would be fun. And she's like, it is. But this line was fun to me because I wanted it to be both things. Like, I thought being an entrepreneur would be fun and it's a ton of work. And she's answering both, right? Like, it is. Like, both of those things are true. Also, just want to, you know, I'm pretty proud of the Bare Minimum Bum there and the untied shoes. He's very bare minimum, you know. Bare Minimum Bob, everybody. And his red pen, just because, you know, whatever. That's a good one. It really performed. We're kind of thinking about these behind the scenes and going like the ones with the humans, like the ones with human situations, like the airport one that we had here a couple weeks ago, performed really well. This one got a lot of debate with making the guy get up and did the ox put him in the trash can. So these comics come out every day, Monday through Sunday. So the Sundays are much bigger, like I just showed with the Empathy Elephant comic. If you're new to VeeFriends, check out VeeFriends.com. We have a trading card game. We've got all kinds of content on the socials. The mission is to really just kind of amplify all these traits, kindness and empathy, and just have a happiness, make you happier. All right, next strip. This was Tuesdays, I believe. Got the two characters on the subway, Genuine Giraffe here and Alert Ape. I am going to do the time lapse of this one real quick just to show you, because I remember I just like focused on this panel and finished this first panel so that I knew I was going to replay it for you here. Not export. No. That's not what I want to do. Time lapse replay. Yeah, so I started with that's how all the comics start, sketch, and the writing, of course. Sometimes the lettering will change over time. Do you think they'll ever do voiceovers of the characters? Perhaps. I mean, they've done some animation work online, and there's some other things coming, but yeah. I'm sure that at some point they can add voices. We're doing some of these animated type comics over on TikTok too. We're testing some things, so check it out. Stay tuned there. Yeah. So there you go. That's the whole strip, and then that's the whole panel there, kind of color from start to finish. One thing to note was in the garbage can is the Find Your True Self, which is a callback to the Sunday strip, The Secret Origin of the Cowboy, when he threw away the brochure and didn't need it. I like doing those callbacks just because it's fun. It keeps it fun for me too as I'm going. Anyways, this is a very simple joke. Have you tried Inbox Zero? You know, let me see your phone a second. And he just throws it in the trash. You've achieved Inbox Zero. So. Megan Maid said, I have to provide one of the voices for sure. I don't know what character I'd voice, but I don't know. Is there like a Ophi? Is there an Ophi character, Gracious Grizzly or something? I don't know. Yeah, and then Common Sense Cow appears at the end, and I forgot to color that phone. Look at that, DJ, you mess it up, kid. Or you could try the filtering because it's Common Sense Cow, and originally Common Sense Cow was not going. It was just going to be that. That was the end of the joke. But then as I was drawing it, I'm like, well, common sense would just tell you try the filtering feature. So I was like, okay, I got to add the cow. And again, we have the I just have this like narrative going on of find your true self, like when you find out what you're really passionate at. So like maybe there's some advertising for those tours. Just having fun with it. That was a fun one to do. And then we get into the next strip is Cynical Cat cooking, which he's actually doing something nice for once. Maybe he feels bad for all the cynicism that he's given Optimistic Otter here. And this is something we never showed, you know, but it's in your mind. Like, I tried something from the cookbook you gave me. So we know that, like, Otter's giving him gifts and things like that's nice. Like, to just have that in your mind. It happens in your mind and not in the actual comic. Otter's nice and thinks, like, wow, he's super delighted that the stuff was cooked for him. And it looks a little nasty, you know, nasty green. Yeah, Megan, please let me know what character would suit me, because, you know. So yeah, Otter tries the food here and of course doesn't like it. I did a little airbrush effect. Screened his face out. Pet the chef. Also, I'm pretty happy with like the cancel symbol on his hat. It's just one of those cute little things that accidentally happened. So the cat's basically admitting that he skipped the steps in the recipe, either that he knew better or that he thought it would come out better, like with more fish oil. So he made a mistake, but it's the effort that counts. You know, Optimistic Otter is always going to find a twist or an angle to it. And the last panel is like, well, before we read the recipes together, why don't you try my dessert? It's a chocolate tuna cake. And that's a pretty nasty cake. So the Otter is like, uh-oh. Just silly. If you've ever had friends that tried to cook for you and you're eating, or someone that gifted you food and you're like, this is really yummy. Delicious. Okay, so then we're into yesterday's comic. It was LinkedIn Larry. So this is kind of a joke. Now, Biceptual Barista over on TikTok said, by the way, drop some likes over there in the TikTok. We're at 777 over there. So make sure you're dropping some likes and sharing the stream, or just giving some love in the comments and stuff. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Yeah, so Biceptual Barista said, do you and Gary reevaluate strategy in the comic stories based on social media response? Great question. We've got the whole entire VeeFriends team. They've got on it watching different stats that are on Instagram, different stats that are on Twitter. So we take all of that stuff into account for sure. And we're, you know, it's not like a riddle that we're trying to figure out, but we did notice that sometimes when there's people in the strips, they perform better. And we think that maybe that's a connection that we're trying. So this was one of the ones that we actually made on purpose because of that. We had this idea sitting and we were like, okay, let's put more regular people, regular scenarios into the strip. So it is interesting to talk about that, that strategy, because it's sometimes correlation versus causation. We don't really know specifically what's causing it. But we've noticed sometimes when humans are in the strip, they perform better. Other times we find that it's the scenarios, it's the scenes. Like, for example, what about that strip? This strip, there's no human in it, but someone in the comments mentioned the Septa Orange on the subway. So that's a very human thing that you notice. It's something that I notice as a human. That's what it's just in my brain that that's what subway seats look like, right? So that's relatable in a certain way. Let me check something real quick. Make sure I'm not getting any. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Should just totally mute my messages when I'm okay. So yeah, it's just like a human element to it. Like, right, that's kind of what all good story is, really. So back to LinkedIn Larry here. We all know a LinkedIn Larry. It's just like on there, like constantly sending you messages and trying to get you on their Zoom calls. And then the idea here, pretty easy, like not an easy idea, but like, hey, look, he has 101,000 invited, but zero are attending. Nobody's in the chat. You are alone. And he's like, this is BS. I sent out all these messages. That's how they told him it would work. And then a new user joins the call, and it's well-connected werewolf. He's basically saying all that. That's a lot of words. Like, but it's getting a big point across. Like, hey, did you ever think of like reaching out and actually asking and getting to know people rather than just selling them things? Is a good point. Someone else had another comment that was sort of like, oh, this is sleazy too, like that you're just not really learning something about them. And I talked about this while I was drawing this on the stream the other day, and I said, like, I don't think it's about that. You're not teaching people to trick. You're not teaching salespeople to trick people into thinking and being fake. Like, you want real curious. You want to be a curious person and actually educate yourself and learn things about different people's lives and actually care and give a crap, right? I don't know. That's my opinion. Is that the best salespeople isn't just about sales; it's about caring about what they're offering, the service that they're offering, rechecking up on how they're doing. Like, oh, man, I had some of the best um, car insurance people in my little small town. We kept them forever. You keep the same salesperson forever, because you know them for so long, and they actually care about your well-being and your family and stuff. And it's not just like a number. Um, you know it when you feel it. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, well-connected werewolf then shows up right behind him in the little coffee house. Actually, I added his shadow at the end, like he's coming up behind him in the background there. So yeah, Megan said zero inbox is relatable as well. Sometime in one of these streams, I'll show you this giant board that we have full of different ideas. A lot of them are half ideas, and some of them are just like, let's touch on this, let's touch on that. It's very interesting, very fun process to do. So anyways, yeah, well-connected werewolf shows up at the end there. Good one. I like that one. So we got LinkedIn Larry, we got Bare Minimum Bob. Maybe we'll just have a whole cast of side NPC characters that are, non-player characters that kind of show up occasionally and we'll test. This one didn't do as well. I mean, I don't measure them based, me personally, I don't measure them based on how well they did that day. I'm thinking more timeless rather than timely. So sometimes, and a balance in between. So just that it became something that didn't go as well as the Bare Minimum Bob strip, I don't think we never show LinkedIn Larry again. I think it's just a process of testing and trying again. And maybe it was something about the day. Like, you just don't know. Like, you can't really say. So today brings us to today's strip. If you've been following the comic for a while, the vibe was stolen. If you're new to the comic, please go back, read the comics in the Discord or find them online. I'm not going to go back through all the vibe strips, but this has been an ongoing, what I think of like as a soap opera. One of the little soap opera beeline stories was the vibe was stolen. They went on an adventure kind of to try to find it. They brought back a fake vibe the last time and it fell apart. I got a show now, just to remind you. It's pretty easy to find. We'll just go through it real fast. Why not? They were vibing. Everything was good. The vibe disappeared. What happened? Someone stole it. It was the freaking burglar. The funnel burglar. And then, many days later, because I think I just did that as like actually, I did that because a little bit more behind the scenes here is like we started off the first week of January, and I didn't think we'd be daily right away. And then everybody got so super excited, and we were like, "Are you going to launch the daily? Like, let's go daily." And I'm like, "Okay." So I needed to do this one with just minimal characters, minimal background. Talk to the team about it. And they're like, "Why don't you try minimal background instead of drawing a lot of them? A lot of background stuff." And so that's kind of what that came from, and also from Gary's notes about the burglar stealing vibes. So then from there, which was the next one? Nope. I'm missing a vibe strip here. Where'd it go? Where is it? Oh, here we go. It doesn't have the word vibe in it. That's why. Fox is asking why he's sad, why Humble Hedgehog is sad. We find out they're going to call Moral Monkey to investigate, and he's like, whoa, don't call the monkey. And then Fox goes, and keep in mind he's wearing that Fox chain, right? I'm going to give you a little recap here. That's what this edition of the show is about. And then when he comes back, his chain's gone, his shoes are also gone, and he's like, call the monkey. So like the burglar's so good that just rob you blind. They call the monkey. Monkey investigates. Monkey confronts the burglar, who's now wearing Fox's stuff. And he also has the freaking phone, the banana phone. The monkey's like, what? And then I forgot to get back to this storyline for quite a while because we had a lot of other ideas. So boom, 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 boom. And then the monkey's bringing it back. He's like, it's all band-aided up and rough. And got it back. He's got this chain. And it's obviously not like, it's not the same chain, right? And Humble Hedgehog's thinking like, something's up. Something feels off here, right? And he's investigating it with a magnifying glass, and there's a little F showing up. And he's like, oh no, it falls apart and it's fake. The vibe is fake. And then my monkey sound effect there. Great. So that was the last we saw of the vibe for a while, and then a few weeks go by. And now we're back to today. So here we are today. The vibe has been returned by Generous Gerbil, first time in the strip. He said, I heard you've been looking for this. And they're like, and then, so now we know Humble Hedgehog's like, it looks legit. And it's glowing. You can't really see it on the stream too much, but there's a little sparkles and stuff in there. Hey, Carly. Jen and Henry said that they miss a lot of the comics. Yeah, they get buried a lot in the social streams and whatnot, but we'll have them on the website soon. There'll be an archive. Pretty neat thing we're working on. It's a lot of work, but we're getting there. He found it on eBay. So the vibe was for sale on eBay. $5 million. Nobody asked yet. I didn't see the comments yet today, but like they're like, how did the gerbil Generous Gerbil has $5 million just to drop on this vibe? And there's some other stuff that's like slightly used. Super Bowl these are, again, I love doing the callbacks to the other strips. So that's this from the Super Bowl week. Here's Fox's real Fox chain, flex in this, and then shoes with a squiggle worn. And they're like, he's like, wait, you bought this for us? How can we repay you? And he's like, just enjoy it and be happy. That's all he really wants. He just wants his friends to be happy. And the burglar's like, or the not burglar, Vibe and Vampire's like, let's vibe. I forgot to mention that Vibe and Vampire is also confirming that that's a real vibe. So when you need someone to confirm the vibe, yeah, the Fox chain's $5. Hey, Carly, thanks for watching. I'll be here for a little bit longer. I'm going to be here till 1, another hour. I'm going to start working on the next comics. Kind of give you a sneak peek behind the scenes here. So that was a fun one to do. Now I'm going to choose what I'm going to show you next for the next hour. There we go. We're at 3K likes over here. We don't even have a Corso in the chat, so that's great, guys. Thank you so much for the dropping the hearts over on the TikTok and over on the other streams. Appreciate you. Thanks so much, Pete. Kind of giving some deep dive into the background of the comic today. I talk about this on the normal streams too, but I'm usually doing something like this. So we're starting this comic. The idea is there's a person live streaming from the street. I don't want to show the sun. I kind of want to show the Sunday. I like the Sunday to be kind of a surprise. How do I get into this real quick? No, it'll give it away too much, I think. But just zoom in real fast. Zoom in. But Sunday strip is Tenacious Termite, and he's going to the top of Mystery Mountain. So tune in Sunday strip. This one's all colored. I just need to. I'm gonna zoom out real fast. See, I'm teasing that. So I need to work on tomorrow's strip, which is all written and just needs penciled out. So I'm gonna work on that now live. Holly, hello from LinkedIn. How are you? Another LinkedIn user, it doesn't say your name, just says LinkedIn user, says, how are you streaming this with your photo and screen on LinkedIn? May I ask what platform you're using to do this? Well, I'm using multiple things here, actually. It's a little bit of, we mainly use Restream, which is very similar to StreamYard or something like that. There's a lot of services out there that can stream into multiple channels. This is Restream that I'm using, but for these multiple camera angles, because someone else was asking me, I've set up OBS, which is a free program. You can download OBS for free, and you can put in different scenes, just like a broadcast television show, right? Or news show. I could make it do all kinds of fun stuff, but I wanted to have, initially it was just my screen, my iPad screen without my hands. People were asking to see my hands, so I put in the TikTok stream into the other streams now, and it's all run through OBS. And I can switch it up with a little button just to go back just to me. That's me. Hello. And then I can go back to my vertical screen. I think I got a couple other ones too where I can just go iPad only. I can make myself pop up over here. It's pretty neat. I've been messing with it, learning how to do it, just so we can have a nice, I want to make everybody happy. You can see my hands, you can see what I'm doing here on the iPad, and you can actually watch me drawing it pretty up close, I think. Yeah, I just have a little Stream Deck now. My son gifted me a Stream Deck, I guess for my birthday. He just wasn't using it, so he said, do you want to try this, Dad? I'm like, yeah, let's try that out. So in this idea here, I'm just going to work just on this first panel. But the idea here is that there's a person live streaming on the street, and a stranger is coming by off camera and dissing them and saying like, what? Oh no, another one of you, kind of thing. Like, and then we're going to have Content Condor fly in. So maybe I will just jump around with some sketch. I'll just loosely sketch this out real quick here. So I'm using just my Apple Pencil, drawing in Procreate. So I think I'm also debating if this is going to be, I think when we originally talked about this idea, this character was 555 fan, one of the VeeFriends. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to try that out. And then over here, we're going to have that word balloon's fine. Person's walking away, kind of like discounting them. So I'm just going to loosely sketch in the gesture like and they're like laughing. Maybe it's like two people walking down the street in like New York, right? This idea came from, so when people ask like who writes the comic, well, we base it on a lot of the stuff that Gary talks about, Gary Vaynerchuk, the creator. Um, but we have a giant brainstorming board. I won't show you right now, I'm just busy, but um, it's neat, and you can drop in your ideas in there and stuff like that. And so Andy Kranick, the president, Andy K, had this idea, and it was just like I said, like there's someone trying to be creative and be a creator, and the world's like dissing them. And then the VeeFriends show up, or a couple other VeeFriends show up, and they're like, don't give up, kind of situation, right? Like it'll be the content condor flying away, saying like, keep publishing. So it's nice. All right, we reached 4K over on TikTok. Thanks, TikTok. Megan's over on TikTok. Megan, is that you over on Megan Made 2? Over on YouTube? Are you on both? Pete, still in there. Awesome. David Weeks just joined over on TikTok. Thanks for watching, guys. You're watching now part of the Deep Work stream. If you want to rewind and go back, I just walked through the entire week's comics, and now I'm working on tomorrow's comic. This will be Saturday. It usually comes out around 8:30 in the morning. And then there's a big Sunday comic too. So thank you for... Well, thanks, Megan. Thanks for watching on both platforms. I appreciate the engagement and your time. So sometimes I'll also just kind of go in here if we're pretty settled on the lettering or the writing. I'll just pencil in the balloons real loose, just so I know how much room I have to work with here for the art. This one needs to go down a little bit. Again, I'm not really worried about, like this one's really loose. Like I could just even just pencil in the shape, like it's more about that and the person walking by. Which I don't like that. I don't want to noodle with it too much. The camera should be maybe more down here to give me more space for the person walking. And as I'm working on these, I might start talking about the topic of creating content, being a creator. I've got some pretty good insights, I think, into that. I worked at Spreadshop for 10 years, working with top YouTubers on their merch strategies for their merch channels and for their YouTube channels and different creators. Like merch is a big money pillar for a lot of creators, but they don't understand how to like strategize for it. So I would help do that with a lot of creators behind the scenes, and I'm a creator myself, of course. So I think all creators have kind of felt this feeling of like, oh man, maybe they're right. So like I'll just capture the gesture. And I kind of want to go back. I'm going to draw 555 fan again. And he doesn't look like the version 2 version of like a real tiny short stop. I actually drew him in a car. Where is it? Is it way far away? Oh, come on. Nope. I'll get there. Here it is. I drew this version here, and I want that. So I'm just going to like trim this out. Copy all. Just for reference on how I drew him before. I didn't draw his full body, but at least I got his face there. So he might still be a little Let's paste it in just for reference. That's good. That's fine. We can just have that hovering right there for right now. Or I'll move it right there. So as soon as I rough out this panel, then I'm going to finish this full panel, I think, within the hour. So 50 minutes, I got to jump on another meeting. We're excited about all the things going on at VeeFriends I can't talk about, but some of the things are public. You know, VCon's coming up in August. So I'm excited to be at VCon. Most likely drawing something live, I betcha. They're like pointing. So I'll draw like the head, smile, the other person's head, their shoulder, the pointing, the walking by. Sometimes I like to do like dopey walks. It's not nice. And I think the idea is like, you know, he's in the middle of like a city or something. So I'll put some cityscape back in there. So that's just kind of, I guess, what you could call this if you're an artist or not an artist, but this is just the composition of the panel. Thinking about it. Just like in photography too. I'm trying to think of something like this where we have the rule of thirds. Like you start to see it when you're drawing all the time. So I knew that the camera is there because I want the focal point to be on that camera. Like, you know, he's a creator. So he's going to have a crazy gear, like a big microphone and all that. His main face is close to the focal point. And then this focal point's bringing you to these jerks, right? So that's actually something to try that I'm thinking about on the strategy side too, is that I wonder if my panels that have better focal points are performing better than the other comics. That's an interesting theory. So I'm going to fade out the pencil line here. And then I'm going to get into just drawing our 5-5-5-5-5 plan. Any merch strategy tips you have for us and how we can follow you? I'm at DJ Kaufman everywhere. That's why I put that there. Everyone always asks, but that's my socials. I don't know if you'll like pictures of my dog or me cartooning. I also run a daily drawing club. I'm over there. Mostly talking to artists on my other channels. Megan, was it you that gave the 4,000 likes? You liked it 4,000 times because, like, I appreciate that. So yeah, 3 people watching on TikTok and I have 4,000 likes. So I'm like, Megan, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm sure it's not just you; it's other people. If you're only watching for a little bit, all I ask is that you just say hello in the chat, say goodbye, hello, and maybe drop a comment. Move my comments around here real quick. I can see. Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate that, Megan. Okay. Start this up. Actually, I'm going to move his head up because I keep it's out of the way. I need to see his face just to kick this off, and then I think I'll be good to go. Am I on the right layer? Nope. Double check that. Yeah, so I don't know if you have a specific question over on LinkedIn about any merch strategy tips. It depends on what you are. If you're a creator, let's talk about that since this is a creator-oriented strip. The same thing that I would talk about all the time, I spoke at Vid Summit about this too, was that oftentimes creators want to just put like a logo on something or their channel name or something like that. That's just not it's not going to do it. You got to really have like a sense of community. Double reference something real quick. What's this? It's got like a weird little hat. So whoa! Just looked at the screen. We got like four up on the other channels. It's pretty funny. Just seeing if there's any kind of it's kind of a trucker cap sort of thing, sort of action going on. So yeah, back to merch strategy for people would be that really try to engage with your audience and find out why they're watching. So I'll give you a really quick example. We had a travel vlogger. She was really well known. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to embarrass any creators. She had 7 million followers on TikTok. Pretty popular views and all that stuff. Like it wasn't fake. And she launched her merch, but it was like basically kind of a logo of her channel, like Travel With Me. And the pitch that she made about her merch was basically like, help me travel to more places, buy my merch. Like your support of my channel helps me travel to more places. And it's like, okay. So strategy wise, what she should have thought was, why are people watching her channel? What is the job of her channel to be done? And, when you really think about it, and if you ask your fans, which is really good to do, they were living vicariously through her. They couldn't afford to travel to Paris or France or Italy, and that's why they watch travel channels, because they can't afford to go there, so they're just escaping on social media to watch the travel channel. Right? So I suggested and by the way, she had 7 million followers, but couldn't sell 2 t-shirts. 2 when she launched. That was like a red flag. So they would call me in and be like, all right, DJ, what do we do? Anyways, I kind of suggested, like, why don't you change it to pretend that your audience is watching you because they can't afford to escape their day job, can't afford to go on vacation, especially in North America. Most of her viewers were in North America. If you know other data, you go, not a lot of Americans take vacations. So I know that they're just stuck at day jobs watching her channel. So then I figured, well, lean into that and be like, I think the design was like, I'm trying to remember it. It was like an airplane taking off, like a little silhouette, and it was like, out of office, never coming back. No logo, nothing like that. And I said, all you have to do, like, wear this shirt on your stream. And then I believe she sold like tons after that. I can't give you the numbers, but that was the gist of it. Find the reason that people are watching or caring about what you're putting out as a creator, and then lean into that a little bit more. It's not just about you, it's about them. So that's another thing I would say. It's about them. It's always about them. You got to put your ego aside and kind of remember the mission, right? Does that help? I don't know. Everyone just left my advice. Everyone left the stream as I'm talking about merch strategy. All right. Maybe they like left to go start their own merch line or something. Cool. I kind of want to see his eyes more, so I'm just going to grab this. But yeah, I think about that a lot. I think about that for VeeFriends as well. I mean, that's just in my nature, where I go, why are people, and you might, if you're listening now, tell me in the chat, why do you watch VeeFriends? Or why do you collect or play, or what is it that you do with VeeFriends? Why do you vibe with it? Are you new to it? Is it Gary? And then it's interesting to kind of think through. So then if you go, okay, if it's Gary, and I've been following Gary for quite a long time too, then what is it about Gary that made you want to follow, and what's the mission of VeeFriends? Like, and what Gary's been saying for the past couple of years now is about being happy and pursuing your happiness. You know, quitting your day job. I quit two day jobs in 2023. Isn't that incredible after working 10 years? It's pretty awesome. Hey guys on TikTok, sorry to miss the stream here. I'm going to be streaming until 1 p.m. Eastern time. Bones to Bulk says, I'm a firm believer in Gary. What does that mean, Bones to Bulk? What does it mean that you're a firm believer in Gary? Break that down. Is it just the energy, or like, do you invest? Are you an investor, or does he give you motivation? Like, what is it about Gary that makes you a firm believer in Gary? See, now I'm doing some jobs to be done. Strategy, some Harvard strategy on you. But I think it's interesting to think about. For business strategy, or just like making your products better, there's a reason that companies, invest millions and millions of dollars to figure this stuff out. Oh, why is it not, my eraser's not working? Oh, there we go. Right. I think I want him to be even happier here. Let's go. All right, here's an answer from LinkedIn. Sorry, LinkedIn user. It just says LinkedIn user, so I don't have your name. I'm sorry. It might be Holly, though, because sometimes it just says LinkedIn user in my chat. Holly pops through occasionally. But anyways, I vibe with VeeFriends after following Gary for a long time. I'm going to put this on the screen here. VeeFriend makes me happy. I never got into comics. Brilliant, funny, motivating. Love watching you guys bring comics and cards back. That's cool. So I would read that by saying that, like, you've been following Gary. The brand itself and the feeling makes you feel happy. There's a lot of brands like that out there, so it's a feel-good brand. That's cool to know. Danielle, thanks, Holly. I don't know why Danielle's name isn't coming through my chat on the restream. All right. And you're excited about comics and cards coming back. So whenever I hear people say that, my mind goes to my strategic mind, my marketing brain or storytelling brain goes like, where did they go? People go like, you're bringing comics back, you're bringing cards back. They've always been there. It's just maybe they fell off a little bit, or or they were out of, like, they weren't in your radar in the world that you ended up in, and then you remember. So like it's nostalgia. Then it's like, oh man, I remember this stuff when I was a kid. I'm hearing that so much about the comics, and it's honestly the way I feel as well. Like I grew up on Sunday comics and comic strips in the newspaper and Saturday morning cartoons and all that stuff. I grew up in the 80s. So yeah, we got 555 fan. I'm only making it a him because I think when we originally brainstormed, it was 555 fan. I think he's kind of the perfect. What kind of tennis shoes does he have? I try to stick to the. Oh, he's got some weird, like tag shoes there. All right, we'll give him some. Just I can play with it then. But yeah, it's fun to think about all this stuff for me. Titans Entertainment, Danielle launching Oculus game. Power of Zero Gravity game soon. Thank you. Love this live talk. Oculus game, Power of Zero Gravity. Oh man, virtual reality and like ARG stuff. It's really the tip of the iceberg for that stuff. In my mind, I've only messed with. I don't play video games much because I got to draw a lot of comics here. But when I did mess with virtual reality games, it's pretty insane. I've said a couple times, I really can envision there being something where you put it on like the Apple Vision or something, where like the VeeFriends are just kind of hanging out around you. We've already had that with some apps and things. I think that there's been technology like that where you can see like Pokemon like running around, stuff like that. But I guess I'm thinking more of like companions, like virtual companions, something like that. I can just see that going down. All right, so we got 555 fan here. I'm pretty happy with that version of him. We're going to keep that. He's excited. He's creating on his tripod here. I think there's also something where when I talk to creators, and I'm sure the VeeFriends team has way more experience too, talking to probably way more creators than I've ever talked to. Although I talked to a lot of creators in 10 years, to be honest. But one of the big things that all creators, and even myself, where you don't want to pull your camera out in public. You feel shy, or you feel like, oh man, someone's going to make fun of me, or I'm going to get those looks from people. And I think there's just a moment where you just say, to heck with it. I don't care anymore. Because the desire for you to do whatever it is that you are desiring to do is stronger than the fear. Yeah. For me, I guess I didn't really have any ambitions to make live social media stuff. It wasn't in the cards, but I could be like, well, I need to put out more content on my social channels. I just don't know what to do, and I don't want to put my face on the camera. I didn't like the way I looked. All the typical things that all creators start with. Like, I think I hate how I look. I hate how I sound. And then I don't know. It's just some switch that happens. Maybe after you talk to enough creators and they just go like, who cares, man? No one cares. Just do what you love to do. And Gary's been beating that drum for forever. But I'm gonna give like a little look at this little squiggle there for a little camera plug-in, audio plug-in there. Shotgun mics. You know what? Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna like go. I want to take that mic off and give him like a clip-on mic, but he doesn't have that much money right now. He's gonna have to save up for that. That's another problem that creators have too, is that they think they can't start with what they got. And I just started with, and a lot of creators I knew started with just your phone, you know, just start with your phone and trying to figure out the ground here. Also, we can do things with composition where like the shadow pulls you into the next swipe panel, makes you look that way. Okay, cool. Megan, you can watch the live stream later if you want. It's fine. Thanks for joining. Go do work. You know, appreciate you watching. I'm liking all the stuff over on TikTok. Appreciate it. For those joining that don't know what this is VeeFriends Daily Comic Strip. I'm DJ Kaufman. I draw the daily comic strip for VeeFriends. You can read it at VeeFriends all over any social media. Um, I'm drawing the comic live here for tomorrow. The comic comes out every day around 8:30 in the morning. I think on the weekend maybe it's a little bit different on Sundays, but Sunday's bigger, just like a classic comic strip, but awesome. Also, I had a thought about making up people here. Was when I draw like random people that we may never see again, gives me time to experiment a little bit with like haircuts and maybe try something different. Maybe this guy's got a mustache. Let's give him a mustache. He's pretty serious, man. The idea here, if you're just joining the stream, is that this kid is gonna live stream for starting his new vlog on the street, and these people are walking by saying something snide, and it affects him. And then some VeeFriends characters pop up and be like, "Hey, don't listen to that crap." The bees ask what the 4 5s represent. I don't know. I think that's a mystery to me. I'll ask Gary. I don't think it's like a hidden thing on purpose, but I know that this character is like your biggest fan. Like if this type of character is in your life, they'd be like the biggest fan of you, rooting you on. That's what I do know. So, yeah. It's kind of a weird placement behind the camera there, but at least it makes you. It kind of looks like he's coming out of the camera now that I'm gonna change it up. Move him over. We don't want what we call tangents in the cartooning. More on the side here. And then I might even move this camera just a little bit this way. There we go. Just separate the images here. And we can just do like a nice swift walking in the city kind of pose. Some cartooning there. I might change the facial expression a little bit. Like, I want him to be kind of like really saying it kind of louder. It'll be obnoxious, kind of cynical. Now that I say it, it could be like, there's always an opportunity for like cynical cat to pop in here, but he's already been in. He's got enough limelight this week. Do that. Appreciate you watching. Happy Friday. Please like and share the comic out there when you see it. Put some juice in my tank, gas in my tank. I see people sharing the comic, commenting on it. I try to read all the comments, the good and the bad. There's mostly good. I can't think of any really terrible comments, so that's great. But I don't care either way. Like, it's not going to affect me. All feedback is welcome. Right. We're just going to throw some like background shapes in there. I promised that I would finish this panel, and I could probably at least get this inked up this before 1 o'clock. But I really want to draw this face, just because like I captured the sadness gesture there. So I want to make this. I want to show the difference between. Maybe it's a nice little lesson to dwell on, is that you can be really excited about an idea. Like this kid here, 555 fan, 5555 fan, is really like excited to do his daily vlog on the street live. And then somebody shits on it. Somebody comes on and just craps on them, and it just changes the vibe. Like almost like maybe they're right. And I think all creators, or anybody that's going to be a creator, if you have a creative idea, like the world around you, I'm not going to harp too much on this, but you'll have people around you that say like, that's not realistic. You know, people don't make money doing that. Or that person just got lucky. That's kind of what we're saying down here. And I've had those things said to me multiple times in my life. I'm 48. I've always wanted to draw comics. That's what I'm still doing. That's what I'm going to do till I'm dead. You know. But I remember I said it yesterday in a meeting. We were like talking about, does anyone have any stories of creators, or do you have any personal stories of somebody dissuading you or trying like whatever? And I was like, oh well, yeah, I guess. Got my high school art teacher, one of my high school art teachers, Mrs. Wolf. Shout out to Mrs. Wolf. Told my parents that I had cartoon tunnel vision. And that meant, and like, it wasn't good for me. Like, and that was in context of there would be projects to do, like it's paper mache time, or we're going to work on this style of Rembrandt blah, 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 blah. And I would always do it in like the style of cartooning. Like I would always make it like Garfield, or, you know, and it would make her mad. And to be a little honest, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like the more of a reaction I got from people when they get mad that I was making the art that I like to do, that rebellious side of me was like, I'm going to do it some more. uh, it's not like a problem with authority. It's almost like I'll show you. Watch this. And, you know, my entire career as an artist has been ups and downs like that. There's the outside world that tells you, like, that's not something that people do. You can't just make that into a career. You get too lucky with that. I've heard that a million times. Heard it a million times. And now look at me now, Mrs. Wolf. Then like he's like gonna be saying like maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. It's like a thought balloon. I kind of want to do something with that. I kind of want to take this, just being creative here, and copy that down. Maybe like I don't know how I would do it, but I'm thinking like maybe when the content condor flies in, he like bursts through that balloon. How do I show that in 2 dimensions? He's like, no, screw that. Like takes that thought balloon away. I like that idea. I'll just keep that idea for the next panel because I'm not gonna finish this comic in this stream. I'm gonna be live here till 1 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you for watching. Make sure you drop some comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff that people do. But back to this panel here. I just put a little fence back there. I'm going to go ahead and start inking this up, this panel. I think I could probably merge those 2 things and turn that off. Fade this. Nope. Fade this panel out. Then we'll get into some inking here. Switch to my inker brush. Double check I'm on the right layer. I was not. Yeah. And it's not excuses whenever creators, you know, are not creating. It's not really. I don't like to call it excuses. Like I don't have the right camera yet, or I don't have the right drawing supplies, or I don't have enough video equipment, or it's fear that people are going to judge your stuff. That's all. It's fear that the people like this are going to come by and point their finger at you. You just got to kind of. I don't know what happens. I don't know when it happened for me. Because I used to feel that. I used to feel like, oh man, I'm not a real artist. I'm drawing cartoons, you know. And that's a cultural thing inside of comics and the art world. Like I've had art people look down on me because, oh, he draws comics. Oh. Or then I would be like, okay, well, I'm drawing graphic novels now or whatever. Oh, that's still comic books. Ugh, you know. And I always respected every art form because I think that's all artists are kind of in it together. That's my feeling. You got to support each other, and I'm always like this guy. I'm like 555 fan. I'm like, when other artists are winning, I'm like, that's a win for all of us. So when creators are winning, I think that that's a win for all creators too. Honestly, because it is not easy to do. You can't just pick up a camera and just go make it happen overnight. You got to put that work in. You got to be consistent and show up and not listen to the the yays or the nays. Gary says that too, but I also hear it echoed in like Ryan Holiday, ancient stoicism. Like, you gotta not listen to the noise, good and bad. You just have to focus and make your mission and do it. Don't worry about the numbers. You know, if you're looking at numbers every day when you start a YouTube channel, you'll quit. You know, you'll quit. You just got to start somewhere, Megan. Megan, you said you were leaving, and now you're still here. So I got you. Gotcha. My old boss, I had lunch with him on Monday, and he was glowing about these streams. He was like, "Oh, DJ, it's amazing. You're so great." And I was just kind of like, "All right." He's like, "No, you are," and he's glowing me up, you know. And I was just, thanks. This is hard, not hard. It used to be hard for me to hear that, but I hear it and I appreciate it, and I thank you. But I was also thinking about, but he said the thing, he was like, I can't tune into your stream during the day because I feel like I can't stop watching. It feels like you're going to say something important because you got a voice. And I'm like, oh boy. So Megan said she was going to leave a little while ago. She's still here. So, gotcha. Gotcha. I'm going to say something really important in a couple minutes. So no. But I never would have thought that. That's the thing. Like, I didn't plan that. I just said to hell with it. I'm gonna, on my own channels and stuff, I started streaming to keep myself kind of accountable a little bit, maybe. I don't know. When I was working on some other projects and before I worked here. And I started helping out. Like, we didn't have I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but the company I was working for didn't have a lot of money for marketing budget, of course, because companies, what are you gonna do? Most brands are like, oh, you don't need a marketing budget, just get on out there. Give the copywriter a camera and let's go. But inside my own company, or not my own company, but the company I worked for, I was struggling to get budget for resources. We wanted to make commercials, we wanted to do stuff, and I realized, well, this is my day job. I didn't have to do it, but I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta be the one. I gotta do it. So I just started putting myself on the YouTube channel for Spreadshop. We didn't have a budget for a YouTube channel. It wasn't even my day job. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I don't really care what I look at. Like, there's a couple videos of me with like a scraggly, weird beard. And I'm like giving creator advice, like the same things I would do off camera, I was doing on the camera there. And I was learning. I was like, you know what? I want to learn this for my own channel and how my own art and stuff. And so I learned those skills. I needed help because my camera sucked. My audio sucked. My lighting was terrible. My lighting's still not the greatest, but I understand. Didn't know how to do what I'm doing right now. Didn't know how to feed in my iPad. Like, it's just a learning process. Just put down, like, here's what I'd really like to do. And you build. So that's what you do as a creator. You just Start where you are, start putting things out, and if you are not happy with something, make a wish list and then work on it. Go, all right, I'm going to improve my lighting next time. Or I really want a stream deck because I don't want to be pushing the buttons, or I want to be able to just push a button like this and switch right to myself. I didn't have that until like last night. So you know, I didn't even buy that stream deck. I can afford it. I didn't buy it because I was like, I don't want to buy it. Another piece of thing. But it's investing in equipment. You know, it was on my bucket list, like I'm gonna get it sooner or later, but I don't need it right now. And then my son was like, hey, I got a stream deck. Do you want it? I don't use it. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, check it out. So set that up last night, and I'm sure that VeeFriends would buy me whatever I wanted to, but I'm like, it's not about the gear. It's, you know, it's more about the efficiency and stuff. So I don't like this. I don't like to waste money. You know, I don't want to buy a piece of gear and just have it sit. So I want to get the most out of what I have. Is what I like to do. But my point is that you can start wherever you are and a wish list of where you'd like to go. Yeah, I remember the first streams I was on, I was running the creator board, the first creator board ever for a t-shirt company. And I had my friend Daniel Batal. She's great on YouTube. It's Daniel. Shout out Daniel. Look at this. I'm gonna send you 5 people. He's way bigger than me or VeeFriends. We got Daniel Batal, Roberto Blake, all these dudes, right? I started to become friends with them. Not just because we were paying them to be on our creator board, but I would just hang out with them at shows and stuff. And I would just learn as much as here, I'm gonna put their names on here for you. Roberto Blake. So this is for any creators out there that might be watching this or dipping in. Roberto Blake, Daniel Batal, Nick Niman. Go search these people. We all know Gary here, right? And Gary knows these fellas too. I think Gary knows Roberto pretty well. But these guys became my friends because, you know, hanging out with them at shows and stuff. And they're, you know, just advice. They just give me like, hey, why aren't you doing that? Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And especially Daniel became like a brother to me. Like he was just, you know, he knew I wasn't necessarily like super happy with my day job then. And he's like, why aren't you doing more stuff on your own channel, man? Like you got this. Like you don't need to work a day job. You could be this, you could be that, you could, and like he really jazzed me up. So Daniel really like got my juices flowing as far as like, all right, because he sees it. He has clients where he's like, this guy's making like $300,000 a year doing almost the same thing that you're doing. And I'm like, oh, it's not really about the money for me either. But hearing that really made me feel like, you know what, I don't need to be miserable in a day job. And then you echo that, you hear that from Daniel, and then you go and you watch a Gary video and Gary's saying the same thing, and then you watch somebody else that you admire and they're saying the same thing. It's like, you don't need to be miserable. So and it wasn't anybody's fault that I was miserable. Like it's nobody's fault. I was at that company for 10 years. It's just time to move on. What was really the problem was for me was that I wasn't doing the thing that I was passionate about. And that's what was killing me inside. So for me, it was like, I got all the skills that I know how to draw and communicate. And there's no jobs for this, really. that was my limited belief that I had. So, and lo and behold, here I am. Gary saw that. Gary sees that potential. Andy, the VeeFriends team, they were like, look at this guy. Up until then, I was probably like, even though I was on like outskirts of things, I was just obscure. So you might be a creator that's sitting in obscurity right now, or a cartoonist. What I'd really like to show for my cartoonist friends, and I see a couple in there, like Ken, I see you in the chat all the time. He's always asking when I'm streaming. For my cartoon friends, I would say, like, don't try to get what everyone else has got. But what I'm trying to show is that there might be other companies out there that could use cartoons, right? I know that there's, because I would make side money off of companies, and a couple agencies reaching out to me. Before I got this job over the summer, last summer, I was doing a comic strip on LinkedIn for some guy. It was through my friend Saul. Saul messaged me and was like, by the way, just make sure you check out those dudes if you're into creativity. I'm going to erase them now. Sorry, Daniel. Right. Oh man, I got like 4 minutes to go. Let me finish this. I forget what I was even saying. Never mind. It'll come back. Oh, yeah. Anyways, I guess the summary of this strip, this vibe, creator economy, all that, is just lean into what you're passionate about. Just find a way. Don't let money and stuff kind of get in your way. Surround yourself with the good people. And if you can't do it physically, so for cartoonists, I was saying, sorry, I kind of jumped around there. There's opportunities. I was drawing a strip for, I don't know, three or 4 months on the side, for some CEO of a staffing agency on LinkedIn. I can't even remember the name. His name was Rich. But you gotta know, like, he wasn't, I can't remember the name of his company. Full stop staffing, or full staff. It was basically not, it was a good comic, but it was B2B comics and stuff like that. But he was paying per strip, to have that done, to make his LinkedIn better. So I know that there's companies out there that they don't even know that they could use a comic strip. Years ago, over on my shelf, and I'll show it in another stream sometime, I did a comic called Bigfoot and Tiki for the Lanikai Ukulele Company. Lanikai ukuleles. And I drew that comic up for them, and they paid me. So it's all about, you got to show what the value is in cartoons and storytelling, That's all. And there's a lot of value in it. There's a lot of value in live streaming it, stuff like that. All right. So, not bad today. Thanks for watching. I'm going to jump to another meeting with Gary, actually. And that's it. That's the stream. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that stuff that people do on these channels. And I'll see you back on Monday on TikTok only. Goodbye, TikTok. I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks for watching. Like it on the way out. Share it. Watch the restream, whatever you want to do. Thank you for watching reading the comics, watching me draw, and I'll be back at it on